Harry thinks he could get fresh whenever he pleases.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need an APB out on a yellow cab, number 3591. Ask dispatch to relay all sightings to car 11K.
No problem. I'll get on the radio.
Were there any incident reports filed in the vicinity of Barron's Bar on North Beaudry Avenue? We're tracking a sailor who was involved in a fight outside the bar.
I can check the reports, Detective. I have a message for you from Captain Donnelly. Message reads, James Jessup, U.S. Navy able seaman, has information relevant to your case. Jessup is currently being detained at Central Station.
Could be our man. Thank you. You can drive.
And where exactly are we going?
He's in interview 2.
Thanks. What do you make of him?
Sailor on furlough who looks like he's in trouble and knows it.
I didn't come to California to be a secretary.
Detectives Phelps and Galloway. We know why you're here, Jessup, so it would be best if you answered our questions truthfully.
I don't want any trouble. That's why I'm here. I heard on the radio about this lady getting killed. I got leave from my CO to come down straight away.
So why did you kill her?
I didn't kill anyone. Look, you need to believe me.
Let's start at the beginning. You went to Barron's Bar. What time did you arrive?
I got a 24-hour pass. I got there around 7.
That's where you met Teresa Terrellson?
Sure. We had a couple of drinks.
And you started talking.
She looked good in her green dress. Up close, she was a little older than I thought, but like I said, I only had a 24-hour pass.
You had a fist fight with Richard Bates over Mrs. Terrellson.
You met the guy? He's a creep. You should take a look at him for this.
He's pointing the finger directly at you, Jessup.
I only had one night before I was back in the tub. He had all the time in the world to look for some action. I belted him. I'd do it again. She was better off with me.
Sure. You're a shining example of chivalry, Jessup. If your story doesn't check out, Jessup, we're hanging you out to dry. Can you put the guy in 2 in a cell and inform the commander?
Sure, Detective. Got a message for you. Sighting of your disfigured hobo on Grand between Temple and Sunset. And it looks like the Beau has a record, too. He's wanted in connection with 2 female assaults.
Thanks. You know the way. You can drive.
Fine. Where are we headed?
Can you drive to this one?
Three suspects in the can and one on the hoof. And still no hard...
LAPD. We'd like a word with you.
Save it for someone who's interested. They're fascists. Come to move us on and steal what little we have left.
6 rounds won't get us far.
I need you to stay copacetic. Phelps. You need to hold out to the cavalry lines.
How do we do that?
Like this. Buckshot, keep him down, Phelps.
If you want your rightful share, we need to fight for it!
LAPD. We'd like a word with you.
Save it for someone who's interested. They're fascists. Come to move us on and steal what little we have left.
6 rounds won't get us far.
I need you to stay copacetic. Phelps. You need to hold out to the cavalry lines.
How do we do that?
Like this. Buckshot, keep him down, Phelps.
If you
Killing
want
make
your
you feel
rightful
powerful.
share, we need...
Let's get that disfigured.
What's your name?
Comrade Stalin.
Very funny. We'll find out from your personal effects.
Stuart Ackerman.
You're under suspicion for murder, Ackerman. We're taking you downtown.
You can't do anything more to me than what the Japanese have already done.
The Kremlin's over here, Phelps. Toss it and see what you find.
Still working, Jack. I'm off to the Lighthouse Club in Santa Monica.
Hello, Jack.
Mr. Benson, this is Courtney Sheldon. He's a buddy of mine from the war.
Well, I'm sure you two will want to polish some old war stories. Good evening, Jack. Mr. Sheldon.
Good night, sir. Take a seat, Courtney.
We need your help, Jack.
I told you I would have nothing to do with that.
I'm fine too, Jack. Medical school's going well. I got a part-time job.
Do dope peddlers need part-time jobs?
We made a mistake and we're in trouble, Jack. A local gangster, Mickey Cohen, is putting on the squeeze.
So hand it over, walk away. What's stopping you?
We had a deal with them that they would dole it out slowly. They said they would supply abortion clinics and doctors, but they've been moving it on to addicts, and they can't cope with the purity.
So your problem is with gangsters being dishonest.
My problem is that people are dying, and that if this gets back to us, we'll all end up in jail.
So how am I supposed to help, Courtney? This isn't the war. I can't just wave a magic wand and clean up your mess.
We want you to negotiate, Jack.
The only thing these guys understand is force, Sheldon. They got to the top back east by proving to be more vicious than the English, the Irish, and the Dutch. They make their own laws. That's the nature of a secret society. God's sake, Courtney, you want to be a doctor. How can you fight with that?
We are better trained, Jack.
I didn't make it through the war to come back to this kind of shit, Sheldon.
looks familiar. Safe bet it'll match the mark under Teresa Terreldson's chin. Ackerman doesn't look like much of a dancer. So what next?
Teresa's trail leads right to this cabbie's back seat, Phelps. We need to find him.
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
And where exactly are we going?
You're behind the wheel. The husband has an alibi, but no real motive other than neglect.
We're going this way.
I said we bust in there and find it.
Straight through the red light. Said she never saw it. Guy gave his wife a tap. I said all's fair in love and war.
Ackerman, you were in the Marines.
How do you know?
The Corps selected big guys for flamethrower duty. That's how you got the burns.
Life expectancy was 5 minutes for a guy in flamethrower detail. What kind of a government puts weight like that on a man's shoulders?
You'll get no argument from me. It was a heavy load.
You feeling sorry for this smelly fuck?
Why did you kill Mrs. Terreldson?
I have no recollection of the people I have killed.
You hate women, Ackerman?
More than you could ever imagine.
How much did you hate Mrs. Terreldson?
I ache to put my seed in them. Afterwards, I have no use for them.
A bus driver dropped Mrs. Terreldson near your camp around 2 a.m. Why did you take her up to the hill?
Which hill? I have many places. I go where I please.
You are clearly insane, Ackerman. The state of California does not execute mental patients.
I don't know the names of the women I've killed, but I've killed many of them. Their necks are so fragile.
Stuart Ackerman, I am charging you with the murder of Teresa Terreldson.
A man down on his luck I can abide. But a filthy red who chooses to live outside the rules of society, I cannot stomach. Maybe poor Teresa Terreldson will provide the catalyst we need. I've spoken to the chief and the mayor, and I think it's time we send some men in to remove the godless and send them on their way over the county line. A grand day that will be, gentlemen. And a grand result you have brought me. You two are fast becoming my finest crusaders.
And now my heart's a blazing ruin. You say that you were only fooling. Don't walk away. Don't do me wrong. Don't leave me singing this torched song when I'm burning.
Of course we will look into it. Yes, I'm aware that it's an election year. Keep a hold of your hat, Counselor. Now is not the time to lose your nerve. It would appear that someone has hocked a rose gold wedding ring and matching engagement ring. Sound familiar?
Deirdre Muller.
Press the pawnbroker and see what you can find out. The address is 348 South Main Street. The Muller case goes before the grand jury next week, and the DA does not want any egg on his face. Then get out to the railroad depot on Santa Fe Avenue. We have another poor unfortunate found this morning beside a railroad line. 40-year-old white woman.
Right, Skipper.
Another body and Deirdre Muller's ring. The Emperor may soon have to come to terms with the fact that he's wearing no clothes.
Exactly. Did you get that book of riddles shoved up your ass, Phelps? Is that what your old man paid college tuition for?
Can you drive to this one?
You've got to admit, this is looking odd.
Anyone could pawn a ring.
But if you take it along with all of the other indicators...
Cole, Hugo Moeller was identified by the school's groundkeeper. He's our guy.
Witnesses have fingered the wrong guy before.
He ran, for God's sakes.
And he always maintained he was set up.
You boys ready? Follow me.
Hard, isn't it?
Yeah. I look after all the rail depots.
What have you got?
The Negro, Nelson Gaines, called it in. I came down here to make sure him and the other guy, Jameson, stuck around.
Jameson found the body?
Something like that. Guy makes me sick.
We'll talk to the coroner. Keep an eye on both of them. Another missing ring.
Certainly seems I've been swabbing a lot of bare fingers recently.
The smell?
Very good. There is the usual evacuation smell, but it appears she's been living rough for quite some time.
Very strong smell of alcohol.
Well, the autopsy will tell, but I would assume that she was inebriated.
Can you be more exact about the time of death?
No later than 2 a.m. The state the body was in, a 1 or 2 hour window is the best I can do.
Someone was trying to get her to come home. We could go over to the lot and see what they know about her.
That's going to be difficult, Cole. Keystone Studio lot closed back in 41.
This is a chit for personal items, not booze. It's an angle worth investigating. Maybe someone at Mensch's will remember her. Detective Phelps and Galloway, homicide. Can you tell me exactly what happened?
We were shutting cars over to the main line when I saw this man here lying on top of this woman. The woman wasn't moving and seemed to be in a bad way.
What time was this?
About 7:30 this morning, sir.
Thanks for your help. Have you given Patrolman Hart your details?
I have, sir.
Thank you. You can go now. Cole Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need an address on Levine's Liquor, closest store to the Santa Fe Avenue rail yard, if possible.
Just a moment, Detective. Closest store would be the one at 939 South Hope Street.
Thanks. What have we got here?
White female, approximately 40 years of age, lipstick smudges on the face, but no writing, at least nothing legible. A blunt force trauma to the temple, nose, and eye regions. Ligature marks point to the probable cause of death being strangulation.
Any idea of the time of death?
From her temperature, after midnight would be my guess.
What now?
Looks like we might actually have a couple of witnesses this time. Get their statements.
Detective Phelps, LAPD homicide.
John Ferdinand Jameson.
We need you to answer some questions, John.
If you don't mind, I prefer Ferdinand.
Don't push your luck, knucklehead.
What were you doing to the body, Ferdinand?
Are you sure you won't be upset?
Try me, Ferdinand.
I was kissing her. It's not against the law.
Shut up.
There's no
Take
law
your
against
beating
it.
like a man.
Turn out your pockets, Ferdinand. Classic Carmine. Is this yours, Ferdinand?
No. I found it near her purse. I thought she could use some lipstick.
Rusty, stop! Don't hit him. You went through her purse?
It wasn't like she needed it. I took a look.
You found her lipstick. What did you write on her body?
What are you talking about? I didn't write anything.
You found the body?
Yes, I did. I work here. I was coming off shift and headed home.
Why didn't you report the body, Jameson? Do you know how this is going to look to a jury?
A jury? What gives? I could tell that she was dead. I came through here about midnight last night. She wasn't here then.
Let me belt him again.
You're under arrest, Jameson. We'll see how this plays out. Until then, you can think a little on how you'd like to be treated if you were found dead.
I'm telling you, it's not illegal. Me and some friends of mine...
Clyde, you get this sack of shit into a cell. I'll deal with him later.
Sure, Rusty.
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
Fine. Where are we headed?
You know the way. You can drive.
You read that those goddamn Chinese want to sell the relief food that we're sending them?
How can I help you boys?
Detectives Phelps and Galloway, LAPD. You have a rose gold wedding and engagement ring?
David Bremner. Am I going to get something for this pledge? Gave that bum money, now you guys are going to leave me short.
How much did you give him?
$50?
Try another number.
20?
Try 10. Feel lucky you're getting it.
I have the rings right here.
What's this mark here?
Maker's mark. Usually traceable. That one came from Hartfield's Jewelry down on Broadway.
Thanks for the tip. Does this mark mean anything?
Hallmark. Gives you an idea of the quality.
What have you got on the guy who brought these in?
Goes by the name of Percy B. Shelley. Gave an address. 15 Poland Street, London, Tulare County.
Can you give us a description of the man who pawned these rings?
Not sure. Medium height, medium build. Dark hair, I think. Sorry. He just had one of those forgettable faces.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Bremner.
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
And where exactly are we going?
You're behind the wheel.
We have a problem.
We could have the local troopers check out the Tulare County address.
The address is bogus. Perp is having fun with us. The guy who's been sending the Dahlia letters is also the guy who pawned these rings.
How do you figure that one?
Percy Bysshe Shelley wrote the poem that came with the Dahlia letter. If the Dahlia letters are genuine, then the man who killed Elizabeth Short may have also killed Deirdre Muller.
And how do we prove that, Phelps? Skipper ain't gonna like this one bit.
We're gonna have to rely on this guy tripping up on his own vanity.
What can I do for you?
LAPD, Phelps and Galloway. We're making inquiries into the murder of Evelyn Summers.
Evelyn? She's dead?
You knew Evelyn Summers, Mr.
Robbins. Yes, I knew Evelyn. I was a good friend of her ex-husband. She kept some of her stuff here.
Can you show us, please?
Sure. Come this way.
You got some fine stock here, Mr. Robbins. Well, you let us take some for the road, this case might get solved a lot quicker.
He's joking, Mr. Robbins.
She kept a bed here, but I probably shouldn't have let her. An alcoholic in a liquor store. That was never going to work out, was it?
We'll take a look around. I'm guessing Evelyn hadn't held down a job for quite some time before she was killed. When exactly did Evelyn work in the pictures?
A few years ago. She worked in legal copyrights for music.
Rawlings Bowling Alley. Maybe Evelyn did something other than drink in her spare time.
Rawlings. I know that place. Corner of 9th and Grand. A lot of cops bowl there on Tuesday nights.
She wasn't always such a loner. Evelyn was reading Aristotle?
Evelyn wasn't stupid. The only stupid thing about her was her need to drink.
And she was borrowing books from Grosvenor McCaffrey. We're trying to account for Evelyn's movements yesterday.
She came by in the morning.
A social visit? To pick up some of her things?
She had a couple of bucks and bought a quart of rye.
She was an alcoholic and your friend, and you still kept selling her booze.
You ever try to stop an addict, detective? Better me than having her buy methylated spirits from the hardware store.
Were you and Evelyn close, Mr. Robbins?
Not many people will be sad she's gone. I'll be one of the few.
We got the impression that Evelyn had been sleeping rough of late.
It became difficult for me to have her staying here. Her mother was trying to get her back on the straight and narrow. She's old now. And to be honest, you have to have a good reason to want to get back on.
Do you know a friend of Evelyn's by the name of McCaffrey?
Not personally.
We're struggling for leads, Robbins. Did she know McCaffrey?
She idolized him. From what I gather, the feeling was far from mutual. He seems to peddle a revolutionary stance, fixing the ills of society. You could see how it would appeal to down-and-outs like Evelyn.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Robbins.
No problem. Hey, I'd like to make arrangements for the funeral. You think I could get in touch with Evelyn's mother?
Put in a call to the watch commander at Central Station, Mr. Robbins. He'll be trying to reach the next of kin.
Thanks. Get the guy, huh? Evelyn never hurt anybody.
Can you drive to this one?
Fine. Where are we headed?
You can drive.
We should keep this development with the rings under our hat until we speak with the captain.
We're all on the same team, Rusty.
Chain of command, Phelps. The skipper will decide who needs to know. You got it?
I get it, Rusty. I just don't like it.
Drink, fellas.
Phelps, Galloway, homicide. We need to ask you some questions concerning Evelyn Summers.
I'm Walter Mensch. Evelyn Summers, what is it now?
You knew Evelyn?
As well as I wanted to know Evelyn. She's a pain in the ass, always coming in here, cadging drinks, never had any money. She was in just a couple of nights ago.
Did she ever tell you where she was staying?
I don't know. I think she was living rough. She had that kind of stunk about her.
Who did she drink with?
A bunch of these guys. Ask around.
What's your name?
Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Mind if I ask you some questions, Mr. McCaffrey?
I'm just a starving writer, detective. What do you want to ask about?
Evelyn Summers, and why she was found beaten and strangled in the rail depot on Santa Fe.
Okay. I see your point.
How well did you know her?
I can't say that I knew her. It was more like I was aware of her.
Do you have a criminal record, Mr. McCaffrey?
Nothing serious. I've had a few skirmishes.
Do you want to save me some time, or do you want me to look up your file?
Industrial disputes, strikes, workers' rights, that kind of thing.
A regular fifth columnist. Nice to meet you, comrade.
You say you barely knew Evelyn?
Yes, that is correct.
I don't like you, McCaffrey. You look like someone who's trying too hard, like your whole life is some kind of performance. I think you need to give us something to get us out of your life.
I don't like you either, you pompous, stiff-necked patrician. You think I don't see through you and all the other minions of the ruling class?
Did you see Evelyn last night?
No, I was at home, writing.
Do you want to get dragged into this, McCaffrey? Do you want us to get interested in you?
She hung out with this powder puff, James Tiernan. They haunted the public library together.
How well do you know James Tiernan?
I know he works some kind of plebeian job at Rawlings Bowling Alley.
Thank you for the information, Mr. McCaffrey.
You're behind the wheel.
And where exactly are we going?
Car 11K, car 11K, come in. Car 11K, KGPL.
11 King.
A message from Captain Donnelly, return to Central, code 2.
11 King, en route. Let's not keep the man waiting, Phelps.
captain is downstairs with Ray Pinker and Carruthers.
Yeah, I'm thinking of moving up to a 45.
What's this about, Captain?
Ray and Mal have some concerns over the Henry and Muller cases, which I don't want aired outside of this room.
The evidence is solid, Captain.
I agree, Rusty. It's just that corpses keep piling up.
Copycats.
I've been banging the same drum. But the notes and the lipstick messages.
Evelyn Summers, Cartel Classic Carmine. Each woman, same brand, same color.
Teresa Terrelson didn't have a lipstick message.
Technically, you're right, Rusty. She didn't have any lipstick. But she did have a message. We found it beneath her dress, scraped with a sharp stick.
What did it say?
You sure you want to know?
Ray?
As far as we can be sure, it said cunt BD.
That's one way of looking at it.
Looking at what?
Cunt is all about access, Phelps. You're married, so yours is mortgaged. Some of us like to pay by installments. This guy doesn't like to pay at all.
Why are you so angry, Mal?
Because I just had to fire one of my assistants. He was a friend of Jameson's. God knows what he might have been up to.
Captain, we have good leads in the Summers case, but it's up to you to decide how we proceed.
Keep this under your hat for now. And follow up on Evelyn Summers. I want daily reports.
Yeah, the bum took a swipe at me. Put him down with my sack.
We got our orders. Back to the Summers case. Get an address for McCaffrey. He'll have blown the bar. I'll meet you outside.
I don't care.
Operator, message for KGPL.
Putting you through now.
Phelps, 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need an address for a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Grosvenor McCaffrey. Apartment 6, 126 Yale Street, between Ord and Alpine.
Thanks, ma'am. Can you drive to this one?
Fine. Where are we headed?
You know the way. You can drive.
And where exactly are we going?
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
Let me pose a question.
Depends. What's it got to do with?
Morals. Would it bother you to put the wrong person away?
Depends.
That's that cop. Seems like a decent guy.
Grosvenor McCaffrey! Running on a hangover, McCaffrey? Sit down and we'll talk.
I'll go get our wheels.
You a runner, McCaffrey? Stay and fight the good fight.
Be careful. He looks dangerous.
Give it up, LAPD! Don't make me chase you!
Get that bomb!
McCaffrey, you're under arrest on suspicion of murdering Evelyn Summers.
Search the place, Phelps. We're looking for something solid that ties McCaffrey to the crime scene.
Maybe if... No. Torn from the letter we found beside the body. At the very least, I'd say it ties McCaffrey to the scene. He said he was at home. He said he didn't know her. And we have the book.
Let's see Carruthers argue his way out of this one.
Can you drive to this one?
Fine. Where are we headed?
You know the way. You can drive.
Hello, Rusty. Two on your usual lane?
I'm Detective Phelps. Homicide.
You must be new. What's your shoe size?
This is business, Florence. You got a guy works here by the name of Tiernan?
Sure we do. He's a pin setter. Clears the jams, works the gutters. Go right in. He'll be hopping around the lanes toward the back. He's a nice boy.
Thanks, ma'am. Let's go get him. I'm at a loss.
Well, the kid is in back somewhere. Let's pick him up.
Down the left side of the alley.
Tiernan! LAPD! There!
What are you waiting for? Get after him!
We might go faster if we weren't carrying the extra weight. These are flashy cars to be parked outside a bowling alley.
The lanes attract a fast-living individual with money to burn, Cole.
Or a middle-aged individual with the need to feel virile.
I'm trying to shoot out his tires. Wish me luck.
Another runner. Well, at least we've got a suspect.
Why do they always run? I'm sure we've got the wrong person in more than one of these homicides, but they always seem to lam it.
You know, your theories are not airtight by any means.
Phelps, you gotta get me closer.
If this isn't the killer, we can at least get him for reckless endangerment.
That's unless he runs into a wall and saves us all the trouble.
Hit him, Cole. Spit him out. Hit him! Clean this asshole off the road!
Whoa, looks like we're going into the tunnels.
God damn it, he'll kill himself.
It's all right, as long as he doesn't kill us, I'm okay.
Show me your hands!
We need to get downtown and wrap this thing up. It's got to be McCaffrey. Unless Tiernan set him up. You don't think that asshole Jameson could have done it, do you? Whoever did it. At least it wasn't that Dahlia fuck.
How do you know that McCaffrey didn't make a call?
We have a list of over 200 suspects. His name was never on it.
If you think the list is exhaustive, Rusty, who am I to argue?
Listen, let's just work the case at hand, shall we? Then we can sit down and put all the puzzle pieces together at a later date.
I'll hold you to that.
You sure you can make it stick with one of these suspects, gentlemen?
It's either McCaffrey or Tiernan, sir. I think Jameson is an aberration.
All right. I'll deal with that degraded lunatic myself. He's got some fearful retribution coming. Tiernan isn't one, McCaffrey isn't two. I want a confession from one of them. Don't fail me, young Phelps.
You ready to answer some questions?
You think I have all the answers?
People who run from the police usually have something to hide.
Touché, detective. Let's see where this takes us.
Evelyn died sometime around midnight. Remind me, where were you?
I was at home, writing. I'm working on a manuscript.
You're lying, McCaffrey. You were out at the rail yard.
And what do you have that proves I was there?
How about half of Augusta Summers' last correspondence with her daughter?
What are you talking about?
After you were done beating Evelyn, you searched her and found her mother's letter. That old lady's anguish amused you.
I know nothing about a letter or Evelyn's goddamn mother.
So what was it doing on your writing desk?
I don't know, but if I didn't put it there, somebody else did. Try exercising your powers of deduction on that.
You told us you barely knew Evelyn Summers.
She hung around sometimes. I had very little to do with her.
You'll have to do better than that, Grosvenor. We know about you and Evelyn.
Evelyn was a lush, and a boring one at that. You can't link her to me. Seems there's a serious gulf between what you think you know and what you actually do, detective.
It's either going to be you or Tiernan, Grosvenor.
Make it stick, detective. The party has good lawyers.
Yeah, I'm thinking of moving up to a 45. I want to put him down to 1 round.
Why did you run, Tiernan?
I was the last one to see Evelyn that night. I knew you would think it was me.
Can you describe your relationship with Evelyn?
I barely knew Evelyn.
Keep lying to me and I'll have you charged and in front of a grand jury before your feet touch the ground.
How can you possibly prove Evelyn and I were more than friends?
How come this is so hard to believe? A man and a woman getting along, liking each other just as friends.
Aristotle's Metaphysics, the book that belonged to McCaffrey.
McCaffrey saw her looking at it once and laughed in her face.
And you're saying Evelyn stole it?
She wanted something of his.
We either hang this on you or McCaffrey. You better give us something.
Well, McCaffrey's been in trouble with the law before. I mean, he always makes out it was some kind of labor dispute, but, you know, I'm not so sure.
Do you own a car, Tiernan?
No, I don't.
Have access to a lug wrench?
Well, we use a lot of them to clear jams in the pin setting machines.
Coroner's report says that Evelyn was killed with a wrench. I think you did it and then planted the evidence at McCaffrey's apartment for us to find.
We went to his apartment. McCaffrey was up on the roof. Evelyn stole the book. McCaffrey went crazy when he found out. He said he would put her out of her misery. He can be very cruel.
Evelyn was missing a ring from her right hand.
That's strange. She always wore it. Big black circular disc with a white E in the middle. It was made from an old typewriter key, a present from the prop department at her old movie studio.
We're going to talk to McCaffrey. You need to think about what you've told us, Tiernan. You're not in the clear.
I want to make a homicide. I mean, you know you made it. You got that.
We found the lug wrench that Evelyn was battered with in your apartment, and the note from her mother, and your blood-stained clothing. We have you cold, McCaffrey.
You think if I could be bothered to murder Evelyn Summers, I would be stupid enough to leave the evidence in my apartment?
I don't believe you, Grosvenor. The evidence says that you killed her.
You can prove that I wanted to kill Evelyn?
Tiernan is prepared to testify that you threatened Evelyn's life in his presence.
Self-preservation. That's understandable. Okay, I'll level with you. Tiernan killed Evelyn. He came to me for help. I listened to him, and he explained why he did it.
Tiernan went to you for help. You expect me to buy that?
That's how it went down. I told him he made a terrible mistake, but he would be throwing his life away if he went to the cops. I took his things and told him I would dispose of them.
But you didn't.
Speak to Tiernan. He'll give it up.
You think the vice boys get any of this?
Operator, give me R&I.
Putting you through now.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need the jacket on a Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Just a moment, Detective. McCaffrey was formerly under surveillance by the Red Squad. Convictions for petty theft. Dishonorable discharge from the Army during training at Syracuse. Assault on a local woman. Says he almost beat the woman to death.
Thanks for your help. You were in the war?
Yes, I was. Seeing the things that I saw, it changes a man. I came back here determined to change things. All I wanted was a pen and an opportunity to speak out.
You told us before that you had only minor run-ins with the police. You didn't mention petty theft.
I've never been in trouble for violence. That's the salient point here, isn't it?
You're lying, McCaffrey. You have a history of violence towards women.
How do you turn a couple parking tickets and a petty theft misdemeanor into an assault charge?
We know all about you and your dishonorable discharge, beating some poor woman near to death in Syracuse. You've never been in combat, McCaffrey. Your whole life is a fraud.
She was a goddamn peasant whore. She tried to steal from my wallet. I could have fought for this country. I could have.
You beat her because she stole from you, because she tried to outsmart you.
The ignorant audacity of the bitch. What is a man supposed to do? Sit there and take it? How is a man supposed to call himself a man?
And Evelyn Summers, a poor, drunken nobody, stole your book.
And she got what was coming to her.
Grosvenor McCaffrey, I'm charging you with the murder of Evelyn Summers. She was a sad lady who never hurt anyone except herself. I hope God finds a way to forgive you.
Congratulations, boys. You bagged the fine catch. Another red to boot. Grand. Now, I want you to put this business about a repeat offender out of your mind. This McCaffrey creature shows no remorse, and neither will the grand jury. You would have to walk a long mile to find a better candidate for an unmarked plot at a prison graveyard.
We have lost most of Shaughnessy and Dunn's squad. The gunny is dead. First platoon is in worse shape. That medic is either crazy or the bravest man alive.
Can we rally with the first, then try for the Nambus?
It's sheer to the left. To the right, it goes right through a pass with 2 Nambus and enfilade.
Mate,
we can lose everyone.
Lieutenant! Get back off this fucking bridge! They'll start walking the mortars back to their own positions. We only have minutes.
I'm in charge here, Sergeant.
Get your men off the bridge, Lieutenant.
What's your unit, Sergeant?
We don't have time for this, Lieutenant.
What's your unit, Sergeant?
My company, 22nd Marines, Lieutenant, and we just saved your ass by fording the river.
My orders are to reconnoiter the...
I think that point is now moot. You have 10 men left. My orders are to save what's left. Move out!
Well done, lads. You did well with the Summers case. But we have a problem. The examiner received a new letter today.
Do you mind if I take a look, Ray?
Go right ahead. They've both been rinsed in gasoline like the previous letters, so I can't lift a print.
Olive oil comes from olive. Where's the baby?
No one else but the killer knew about this message. To suffer woes which hope thinks infinite, to forgive wrongs darker than death or night. Another snippet from the Shelley poem. If the note is from the Dahlia maniac, he definitely also killed Teresa Terrellson.
Mal and I agree.
But where does that leave us? If this is the Dahlia killer, and he is responsible for the Tarrelson murder, not to mention the Muller
Hang
case.
on a moment, Skipper.
Let me finish, Rusty. We have 5 birds in hand and none in the bush. The department will not survive a scandal if we have to let them all go without catching a fiend first. Your careers will be over for a start, gentlemen.
Looking in wonder.
Fuck it. I knew this run was too good to be true.
I hid myself within a fountain in the public square.
You like that stuff? What is it supposed to
It's
mean?
supposed to... Forget what it's supposed to... What does he want?
Where are you going with this, Cole?
He's obviously taunting us. He believes he's far more intelligent than we are.
Okay, it's some kind of story, right? A guy that God hates, chains him up.
It's an allegory, Rusty.
A what? Story with 2 meanings. A symbolic meaning. But that's what he wants us to think.
Could he be using it literally? Within a fountain in a public square? Could it be that easy?
Can somebody tell me what the fuck is going on?
The fountain in Pershing Square. Come on, we have a clue. Captain, thanks, Red.
Be careful, Phelps. This is his game you're playing now.
That's a guy. I heard he's an honest cop.
You can drive.
All those cases, Rusty. What have I been telling you all along?
We've got to get this guy.
I know. Enough women have died.
Yeah, and it's our asses on the line too, Phelps. You heard what the captain said. The department is not going to take responsibility for all those bad convictions.
Success is a double-edged sword.
Let's just get this sick perp.
Rather you than me, Phelps. You know the local hobos use that as a latrine.
There is a cave, all overgrown with trailing odorous plants which curtain out the day. Where next? Elizabeth Short. Betty Short. Black Dog.
Elizabeth Short's social security card.
Jesus Christ.
That's not all. There's another stanza from Shelley.
Can you work it out? You got a city map? See if you can work out where he's taking us. I don't like this freak leading us around by the nose.
Boy.
Help me out. Any ideas?
How many caves are full of flowers in L.A.? Maybe it's a painting that looks like that.
Woman who stabbed her husband and then pushed him in front of
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
It's really him, the fuck who killed the Dahlia. Can you believe this? He's leading us.
It's his game, Rusty. He may want someone to catch him, but he's extremely dangerous. I doubt if he will give up easily.
Suits me down to the fucking ground. We clip this fuck and we get citations. What a day to be a cop. That pencil-pushing Parker won't be able to shove me aside after this.
Can you drive to this one?
Continue to response time.
Can I help you, sir?
Detectives, LAPD. This is very important, sir. How do we get to the top of the chandelier?
You what?
Have a little faith, pal. We're in a real hurry.
Head up to the top floor.
There's an access panel and a ladder in the maintenance room.